Good morning, students. We will start our lecture 4 of growth and development part of fundamentals of agronomy. Here in the types of growth, we have two types of growth, the primary and secondary growth. What is primary growth? The mitotic division of meristematic cell present at root and shoot apex increases the length of the plant body. This we call it as the primary growth. The meristematic cell present of roots and shoot. The root and shoot increases in the length which called as the primary growth, and the secondary meristem increases the diameter of the plant. We call it as secondary growth. The primary growth is increase in the length and depth of the root and shoot. We call it as primary growth, and increase in the cell mass, increasing the density or diameter of the plant body. We call it as secondary growth. The next is there is unlimited growth. The root and shoot system of plant grows continuously from germination stage to death or throughout the lifespan of the plant. We call it as unlimited or indeterminate type of growth. So indeterminate type of growth means there is a continuous growth of the soil. The plant branches break down and again it regrows. So that pattern we see in the plants. The limited growth, that is determinate type of the growth. The leaves, the flowers and fruit stops growing after certain size, and this we call it as determinate growth. There are two types of growth, determinate growth and indeterminate growth. Determinate growth, the leaves, the flower stops growing after a particular stage, whereas indeterminate growth, they grow for until the depth of their plant. The next, after understanding determinate and indeterminate growth, in the individual plant we have two growth stages, the vegetative growth stage and the reproductive growth stage. What is vegetative? Earlier growth of plant producing leaves, stem and branches without flower, we call it as vegetative growth phase, where the growth of plant producing the leaves, stem and branches. So it is called it as vegetative growth phase, which is without the flower. But in case of reproductive growth phase, the growth phase plant produces the flower, which is reproductive part of the plant. So that phase we call it as reproductive growth phase. After understanding the growth phase and growth types, we shall understand the growth curve. So generally the plant growth curve, we call it as S-shaped growth curve or sigmoidal growth curve. S-shaped growth curve or sigmoidal growth curve. See, the all plant passes through various growth stage. It is S-shaped obtained when we plot against the growth with that of time. X-axis with the time and Y-axis with the growth. We find a S type of growth curve. We call it a sigmoidal curve. And the growth curve are helpful in understanding the pattern of growth. How plant is growing can be understood by this growth curve. The first is the lag phase, after which we have log phase, which is also called as exponential growth phase, and then we have the stationary phase. What is the lag phase? It is the start phase when the growth rate is very slow. Then it attains a log phase when maximum growth of the plant takes place. After a particular period of time, the growth rate stops and it is a stationary growth phase. So there is a term called as diminishing growth phase. What is diminishing? The growth of the plant is going to decrease from this particular stage. It is a diminishing growth phase. So the lag phase, which is a initial slow growth during which internal change occur that are preparatory to the growth. During the lag phase, the growth changes what all are taking place in the plant. It is mainly helping the growth of the plant. These plants lag phase plays a very important role in growth of a plant. Yes, I think now it is visible. Yes, so this is a lag phase where it is visible. It is the initial lag period during which internal change that occur are preparatory and the increase in the size or weight is very slow or negligible. So the second phase is log phase or exponential phase, or we also call it as rapid grand growth period or rapid growth period or exponential period. So this is the phase followed by the lag phase when the growth is very fast, where maximum growth is seen within a short period of time in a log phase. And the logarithm of growth when plotted against a straight line during this phase, it shows you that it is increasing. The growth rate is increasing drastically. The next is the decreasing growth phase. If you see the decreasing growth phase or diminishing phase. What is this phase? So substantially a phase in which growth rate is gradually diminishes. Then next is plateau phase, stationary phase, or also called as steady phase, where organism reaches its maturity and growth ceases. And finally there is another stage we generally see it in a microorganism or plant, the senescence. The senescence phase. What is senescence phase? Where depth of an organism sets and giving rise to the another component of a growth curve. The differentiation, de-differentiation and redifferentiation in the cell is another concept in the growth phase. We call it as 3 phases of growth, where it is cell division, cell enlargement and cell differentiation. The first 2 stages increases the size of the plant cell. The cell division and cell enlargement increases the size of the plant cell, whereas the third stage, cell differentiation, brings maturity to the cell. It brings maturity to the cell. Then what is differentiation? Here it is a process during which cell undergoes the structural change in the cell wall and protoplasm. You have seen the plant cell. The change in the cell wall and the protoplasm inner layer takes place during the differentiation, and the differentiation cell once cannot be divided. It cannot be divided. Once it is differentiated, you cannot divide the cell. Then de-differentiation. What is de-differentiation? An unindividual differentiated cell, undivided differentiated cell sometimes regains the power of division, and that process we call it as de-differentiation. So once a differentiated cell, it regains the power of differentiating into the another 2 cells, that we call it as de-differentiation. Then redifferentiation. What is redifferentiation? Cell can divide and produce a new cell, and thus produced new cell again loses the power of division and becomes a part or permanent part of a tissue. This process we call it as redifferentiation. We call it as redifferentiation. Here you can see it. The first process, where with the removal of some somatic cell into the cultural media, it undergoes reprogramming, where it undergoes de-differentiation, the ability to regenerate the power of differentiation, and undergoes the differentiation. Then this is the redifferentiation, where cell undergoes dividing. That is, a de-differentiated cell can divide and produce a new cell. A new cell produced again loses the power and of division and becomes a part of a permanent tissue, which is called as redifferentiation. An example is formation of tumor cells. After understanding the concept of differentiation, redifferentiation and differentiation in the cells, we shall move forward towards the photoperiodism. The term is very important with respect to exam point of view. What is photoperiodism? It has been discovered that duration of light also play a major role in flowering in the plant. Duration plays a very important role. So how much long the duration, at what time the flowering occurs, plays a very important role. The flowering response in the plant in relative to length of light and dark period within 24-hour life cycle, 24-hour cycle, we call it as photoperiod, or generally we define it as response of plant to the light, the day and night length for a period of 24-hour cycle, we call it as photoperiod. And every plant have a specific period of life duration required for the flowering. And in order to flower them, they must be exposed to either less hour or that of a critical period. So generally based on that, we have classified the plant into the short day plant, long day plant and photoperiodic plant. So response of plant to the day and night determines their ability to flower. So based on the flowering response, plants has been classified into 3 types: short day plant, SDP, long day plant, LDP and day neutral plants. What are short day plant? As the name indicates, the plant produces the flower only when they are exposed to a duration of shorter critical period. and they produce flower in spring or winter season. They produce flower in spring or winter season. Generally, when they are exposed to the length of less than 12 hour of day length, so such plants are called as short day plant. For an example, cotton, green gram, soybean, chrysanthemum, these are all short day plants. They respond to the critical period of light when they required less than 12 hour of day length. Such plants are called as short day plant. Then long day plant, they are plants which produce flower only when they are exposed to a light duration of more than critical period. Generally we call 12 to 14 hours of day length is required for such flowering. For an example, wheat, barley, rye are the good example of these plants. And few best example of day neutral plants. The plants which produces irrespective of light length, such plants are called as day neutral plant. They need not require a critical period for them for flower. For example, rice, sunflower and vegetable. The examples are very important. With respect to short day, example, green gram, soybean, chrysanthemum. Long day plant, generally they are wheat, barley. That is, the rabi plants we consider as a long day plant, and generally kharif plants we consider it as a short day plant. Day neutral plant, sunflower, rice. Yes, if you have, we have studied today with respect to the growth of the plant and the response of plant to the length of light, photoperiodism. If you are liking my teaching, please hit a like button. Thank you.